Good morning. It is July 22nd, Tuesday morning. It's 10:05 a.m. and I have been doing a lot of thinking, as usual, which is really no surprise, I'm sure. But I think was it yesterday or the day before? I think it was yesterday. Okay, I had posted a video about my feelings relating to what was going on with the whole Elon Musk and the human trafficking and the whole the whole issue of this, yeah, the trafficking, right, and how things have been going, and me putting everything together. I know that since I had started my channel in 2015, I had talked about gang stalking. I had talked about, the warning signs. I talked, I think I don't need to go into every little thing that I already discussed, okay? Because I've been talking about this issue for yeah, almost over 10 years now. So now it's all come together. Now I understand who was involved. And see, when I started communicating with him last winter, okay, I think it was like in the month of January. I got this into it. How it started, all started was I started getting this, intuitive messages. I already knew that I was the biological daughter of Diana Ross. Okay, so that was already known to me by me coming with downloads, a few years or a year before that. Okay, so what ended up happening was I understood that I was associated with celebrities of some in some way. Okay, and so I never really paid much attention to Elon Musk before that. I did mention him in my autodidacts video because I needed to talk about modern day autodidacts that I had heard of, because I usually stick with the older people because I'm kind of outdated, meaning like, I've kind of shut out the world for many years, living as a kind of a recluse, mainly because of me being a burden baby, okay, but also me coming to like being a recluse. And the reason why is because, I've dealt with a lot of two-faced people and the bullying tactics and the covert nature of the program. Okay, so this naturally is going to make people not want to be around people. You know what I mean? If you're smart, you understand that these sort of plots do exist, even to this very day. There, human trafficking is not new. Like I mentioned, this is an old tactic that the Nazis used, the Ku Klux Klan used, and people have debated whether these sort of tactics have originated in Europe and then moved over here to the United States. But you know what I'm starting to come to understand? I believe that it originated here in the United States and then moved to Europe, okay? These sort of techniques, okay? And the reason why I say this is because it has traveled through the idea of American religions, okay? Like for example, the LDS Church. And I'm not in any way pointing out or trying to have an argument right now. But what I am saying is that I knew that he was either watching me, being a part of this group. Even I didn't think that he was extremely involved, although I noticed that he would say things or talk about topics that I was obviously discussing at some point, right? So I understood that the issue of gang stalking, one of the issues is like there's secret competitions. Given the fact that I was, a part of the cloning process through this, the Operation Paperclip offshoots, Joseph Mengele, blah 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 blah. So in some ways they identify me with this group of other clones, and it begins with the issue of church people, looking down on us because we've been given a bad reputation beyond our control. Like I said, I had no idea that I had this reputation, or that I was, the clone of King Solomon, or any of those sort of things. Okay, like I literally had to figure all of that myself out. And like I said, I got a lot of intuitive downloads, but I had mentioned, a lot of the experiences that I've had with people, insinuating certain things. And this goes back many, many years, okay? And, because I prayed for vision, prayed for answers, these old memories were coming up to the surface because it was giving me information as to who and what all this was about. And what it is about is that I was a clone, right? And so I understand, I get it, but like I said, it was associated with two organizations joining together, fusing together, and operating together. We had the I guess scientists or the people who were behind this who actually performed the work. I would say that they were probably people who practice eugenics or whatever, who thought very highly of the white race and wanted to advance it, obviously, and thought very little of my bloodline for the simple fact that they looked upon me as competition. I have never tried to compete with anybody. Seriously, it's just that this is who I am and this is how I live. You know what I mean? So it's like when people suppress who they are, they experience mental illness. Okay, and as long as it is not harming other people, then hey, why not be who you are? Because to suppress yourself creates all kinds of negative effects. Okay, and the message that's coming through my mind right now is I get this message about the apparition of my father appearing as I remember him. Like I remember in the positive version of him, the way that I'm sure back in the day when people were probably spying on him and reporting on him and stuff. This is the person, the image of the person that they remember. All of this started happening. The image of me and him following each other is, I think some people think that I have some sort of control over that. I don't. Meaning, like, I had no idea that that was even the case. I had to figure it all out on my own. But I understand that he is a guardian, he is a protector of mine, and he is somebody who is very protective, okay? Because we have a bond there, and our bond is not based on what I call any sort of worldly fusion. It's based on the actual love and admiration that we had for each other. The message I'm getting right now is that Elon is gone, but knows the truth of who he is, and peaceful partings. And this is the same really a message that I got yesterday. I did want to address the Elon Musk situation a little bit more. Like I said, I knew that he was very close to these people, and I'm kind of understanding where all of this comes from. It's tradition. Like I said, it's tradition, and we see that he was someone who was kind of like dealing with, I don't want to use the word Stockholm syndrome, but he was somebody who was kind of going along for the ride with the people who were abusing him. Okay, whether he felt as though he was helpless or whatever, but I feel as though he was not happy with his situation. They keep you very ignorant. Okay, they keep you very ignorant, and I'm starting to understand, like these groups of people who had who, like, for example, talking about eunuchs and stuff like this in the Bible. um, I know that this was something that this people did, to keep people subservient and also to prevent them from, possibly extending their family line. It was not something that was what I'm saying, like I said, the natural process of people getting born, like, a man and a woman creating a child, and then this child comes out this way. This is an operation that has worked under the current of organized crime is basically what it is. So this and I'm talking about this situation seriously without talking about the spiritual nature of it. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the spiritual nature of it, and the spiritual nature is, okay, yes, I'm an occultist, and I have been doing past life readings. I've been trying to get understanding this, and I just recently made the past life reading. I would say, well, okay, maybe 2 years ago. I mean, was it 2 years ago? I mean, I was somewhere. Anyway, it was a past life reading, the original one, where I am using the major arcana. Okay, and I had a lot of the things that have been indicated in my readings, have been quite obvious. Okay, like I get the intuitive message that a lot of the people in the celebrity ring got the message of being associated with an underground crime syndicate, and that's exactly what it was. A lot of times people violate laws. They violate company rules. They violate rules that are set, within their countries, their whatever. Okay, they do these sort of things. Okay, and it's been going on. I would say every country is guilty of it. All right, to a certain extent. Okay, my issue is that but this is what it is. Okay, and then we have the church fusion of I would say the main issue is that the church has isolated people like us because of the negative image, the ostracizing, the bullying, and the bullying to me is like it's proof of the demonic power behind it. It's like, good and well that you created a person, in a modified way, okay? And then you want to turn around and create, hate crimes against these people. It's like, what it is just goes to show you that this is a long past life type grudge. And when you get down to the biblical aspect of it, which, like I said, why I don't talk about the Bible and reference it in my everyday life as an adult is because I understand that I have dealt with so many people who are hypocrites, outright hypocrites. You know what I mean? And it almost makes, and I would say that a lot of people who grew up and left religion is they get the same feeling. It's because they've seen so many negative examples of the church. And it's because of the sick, toxic, you know, bullying. It's the arrogance behind it. It's everything that you can possibly think of. So it has nothing to do with people not loving God or what is good or trying to live a decent life. For some people, they're just absolutely repulsed by having to deal with these hypocritical people. You know what I mean? And like I said, not everybody it starts off evil. Some people really do start off sincere, okay? And I know it's very difficult to find sincere people in this sick world. We live in a very sick world. You know what I mean? But anyway, I get them into a message that there's good news that all my issues with the traffickers ended in my favor, okay? And because I made sense of this, okay? I would never want to argue over anything, but this is how wars get started. How wars get started is usually where somebody's intruding on, somebody's space, and then they want to fight people for what something belongs to another person. Okay, in this case, they created a savior, quote unquote savior, but then they get pissed off when I'm actually saving. Like, it's racial hate snowballed into a big cluster mess of mind control is basically what it is. And so I've recognized it, and this is because I have had extensive interest and studies in these sort of subjects throughout my entire life. I think it makes sense. I understand who I am and what I'm here for. So the message I got is, some of the messages I wrote down is that the separation from Elon actually makes it so that my career is better. I do believe that he was, whether it was his idea or maybe the companies that he was associated with, whatever, okay, thought that it was a good idea for him to, mimic me or, whatever. And I get it. The thing is that people feel when they see somebody who exhibits superior traits that you don't have any feelings. They honestly think, or that you have so much going for you in your life that you shouldn't mind us taking things from you. This is the mentality of people. You know what I mean? And while I'm sitting here, I lost my car. I'm an older adult. I need my credit. I need things well. And it's like they think it's okay. It's not okay. And see, the thing is that I understand there's certain people like that I'm associated with, like maybe in high positions, have high level positions, okay? And I've noticed, it's funny, and I'm not mad about this, really, I'm not, but because I think it's a positive thing. Like I went to the bus station, okay, which I've been going to the bus station, right? Because everything really goes down and relates to me being a traffic victim. But anyway, because I lost my car through this system, right? Okay, but anyway, I was at the bus station. And I had noticed on this little pole they had, the violations, and then they also had like the penal codes. And I kept thinking, you know what? I know that I'm making a difference, even when I have not released what I was talking about. Okay, I've talked about it a little bit, and I've referenced it in certain things, but it's like I understand I have a lot of influence on what goes on. I have a lot of influence on what goes on. Okay, as a matter of fact, my intellectual abilities has been pulling people throughout probably the ages. You know what I mean? Just by, I can tell, I understand what the cycles are. I understand that things mirror things that I do. You know what I mean? So I understand this. Okay. So in their mind, it's like, well, we're going to take your ideas and then you can be blah, blah, blah. You can be a office clerk. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, that kind of slap in the face is so disrespectful. It is disrespectful. Okay. And this is the mentality of people who feel as though you are of no value or you're not important because they are basically looking at you as a slave because you are a burden baby. But yeah, what they're doing is it's shameful. Okay, it is absolutely shameful. And so I'm just talking about it. And so now Elon realized that he was somebody who was associated with all of that. And there was a lot of burden on his back because he was, deep in it, like deep, deep in it. You know what I mean? And it's sad, because really, I really did like Elon. I really did. Even when he was doing his Nazi salute and everything, because you know what, deep down inside, I understood that he was what he was. And he was going to have to do whatever he wanted to. And I know deep down inside, he didn't like being what he had to do. You know what I mean? But what else is he supposed to do? And I also noticed that, when he would talk about how many hours he would work, I realized that this is, any employer who has knowledge of the law should never be sitting here bragging about how they're working somebody to death. Honestly, okay? So I understood what was going on. I saw him for what he really was, okay? And even though I knew he was not the multi-billionaire or whatever that he acted like he was, I was still willing to be his friend. And I wanted him to know that I wanted to be his friend. You know why? Because everybody loves you when you have everything, okay? And I wanted him to know that, yes, I care for you when you have nothing, okay? So I am very touched by his departure. And I am very touched because I do know that deep down inside, he knows he did the right thing. You know what I mean? Meaning, like, it was case closed. He had no right to sit here and demand those sort of things. But you know what? He was only behaving the way. That's why I remember I talked about it. I said the reason why I am reluctant to get near Elon or just make rash decisions is because Elon has been around people who have no morals all his life. And so what do you think he's going to do to me? He's going to, somehow betray me, whether he wants to or not. You know what I mean? I know that they have basically slaved out this poor person. You know what I mean? And I feel very, very bad about it. And I understand. You know what I mean? I do get the intuitive message that my third quarter blessings newsletter went viral. I do understand that Elon, as well as people who claim to be my family, such as the Ross family, as well as, the family that I grew up with, they understand that, I have the right to ask for my own stuff. Okay. So I don't know. I know that, I don't check the emails, okay? So I don't know if people, if when I post my Swan Song Manifesto, well, I just usually post it on my video and the description box, and then I put it on Facebook for people to watch it and grab it, okay? But I don't know if maybe it's been altered. I get the feeling that there's been people who've tried to destiny swap with me. This could be also my twin sister, you know what I mean? Because this is organized crime, it wouldn't surprise me if this is one of the reasons why they created two twins, or they're just taking advantage of the fact that we're twins. Whatever the case is, this is an underground crime syndicate, okay? And I do understand that Elon realized that he was in deep, like knee deep, okay? And so I also understand that the church had prevented people from contacting me, okay, because they felt as though I was not worthy to have any sort of communications, okay. I will say that if you received anybody implying to be me relating to the So and Something Manifesto, it is a lie, okay. Or if somehow if they have the ability to reroute emails or whatever, this nonsense needs to stop. I did address the president about this issue. Okay. Now, realistically, even if I could, receive a lot of emails and stuff like that. I know when I open my first YouTube channel back in 2008, I would get a lot of people contacting me, and there were times I could not respond, okay? And then all of a sudden, everything just went blank, okay? And I understand that it's impossible to respond to everybody. But the point is that, there should have never been some sort of block on me, and the person who was putting the block on me was a part of Elon Musk, okay? Because Elon Musk has been abused and so-called disciplined, okay, in this sort of behavior. Okay, he believed that by hurting people, depriving people of things, then this is going to correct the behavior. First of all, I'm an adult over the age of 18, and I don't need to be corrected for anything. Second, all you can't just sit here and like reach out and grab people for wives. He already had, I don't know how many wives this guy has. Okay, but what it is, it's about financial formulation. It's about somebody who is obviously a trafficked victim and has absolutely no idea what constitutes an actual marriage in the state of California. Okay, and the reason why is because even though Elon Musk was perceived to be somebody who was intelligent and also a genius, the truth of the matter is that he was a church slave. Period. Okay, and I was just somebody who was able to see it, and he was a victim of human trafficking. Okay. And like I said, I felt really bad. And the reason why I am all dressed up today is because I am not going to sit here and let myself hurt over this somebody who, or anybody for that matter. You know what I mean? I cared about Elon. I seriously cared. Like I said, I gave him the most sincere friendship. Okay, and see, this is what I'm saying is that I believe throughout my lifetimes I have extended truth and sincerity to people, and this has been recorded, like in things like the Bible, talking about betrayals and all this other stuff. Okay, and so when you are somebody who is a righteous person, okay, you're going to expect betrayals. We live in a world that has been very much marked by demonic forces. Demonic forces. Okay, this is one of the reasons why the mind control of the average everyday person is so. I mean, it is so intertwined and so convoluted, and you can see it in the people. And like I talked about me saying how people believe one thing but act like another. What I mean? People have been keeping people in line with this religious lie for the longest time. There were times where I felt as though the reason why people were upset about me when I was growing up is because I was someone who was inquisitive. I was interested in things like reincarnation. Okay, so and then we talk about things like clones. I said, like, most people they'll sit there. They know good and well they go to a church. They know good and well they sit here and try to attack people who are of like clones or whatever, right? But they'll turn around and swear up and down, oh, clones haven't been here yet. Because, like, their Dolly the sheep was just recently cloned, but we haven't gotten there yet. Yes, we've gotten there yet. We've been there. Okay, so this is one of the things I'm talking about, how people have these dualistic thinking. They have two things in their mind that they truly believe, and this is an indication that society is extremely brainwashed. Extremely brainwashed. So anyway, I get the intuitive message that going forward, I will have full control over the Swan Song Manifesto and anything associated with it. Okay, I have every right to own my stuff. I think that Elon may have realized, I had mentioned before I realized how deeply he was involved in it, that yes, he's a clone. Now, he had the right to go out and step on his own because I had already mentioned this before. I don't know if Elon had the strength or the ability to do so. Maybe he was too afraid to do so. Okay, but I think maybe he relied on me in some way by associating himself with my work. And unfortunately, it's not that I would not be willing to help somebody, but I cannot sit here and abide by somebody who's going to sit here and act like they're interested in being my friend, but then do something like this behind my back. And I know, just like Judas and just like Peter. Okay, I knew that Elon felt very guilty about how he had to live. I don't feel like he felt like he was a whole person, that he could look himself in the mirror and have any respect for himself. Okay, because the guilt that he felt was very deep. Okay, so anyway, I have 100% good peace with all the alien races. I am very grateful. Now, I know that there were some people specifically who were associated with this group, people who I would say white nationalist groups and stuff that were on full on board. I even saw some videos. Okay, now they weren't mentioning me. They were not going to mention my name out loud. Okay, but they were kind of implying who I was and stuff. And then there was a lot of this attack about clones. And all of this was going on. What I really didn't even know. Like I said, so it was a part of their indoctrination. A lot of it had to do with people picking apart my office items on my desk, which I think is kind of silly. But like I said, when you are a target individual, everything that you do, they get upset about. Why? Because it's a part of their sick mind control. Like they want to hate you for no reason. You know what I mean? They did resent the fact that my father's apparition showed, but I want to tell you why my father's apparition shows and why I show is because they have left us, the church has left us in a world where we exist in solitude. Okay? They would force us into positions of isolation. They would create or incite violent thoughts in other people. Okay, now maybe nobody attacked us, but you know what? They certainly wanted to. I was the object of hatred for very many years. Okay, while the church people were in affiliation with these people here who were doing all of this stuff, they kept silent and they watched it happen. You know why? I have no respect for them. I don't think I need to, need to answer that. I think it played out in everyone's face, and I think that they also exploited me for the purpose of proving a point. Yeah, they did prove a point. They proved that they were evil. Okay, so now through all these years I've been making these videos, I have over 1,600 videos. Okay, from going back to 2015, and it was really important for me to sit here and think about and brain dump, like think about everything that went on in my life. Okay, and I understood this is a lifelong program that I was associated with. And sadly, I believe Elon Musk was a part of it. And I'm getting that same message again, but that Elon left knowing who he was. He knew who he was. Okay. And you know what? I don't know. I know that, a lot of things that relate to that goes on in my life is because of the past life. It's one of the reasons why we had the things relating to the LDS church. This is why we had all this other stuff. Okay, see, the LDS church and other people who were attacking me did not realize, you know what? Of course, I'm going to have a different perspective. Okay, it's going to give me a different perspective just by my race alone. It's going to give me a different perspective, and I can't change that. I can't change that. You are who you are. You are who you are. Okay, and as long as you're not harming anybody, as long as you're not breaking the law, then you have the right to be who you are. Now, the message I'm getting right now is me wearing an ankh and something about, and I had this message before, me wearing an ankh, something about my father being visible, people like my political views, people enjoyed the alien reading, and also that everything ended with the traffickers to everyone's satisfaction. Okay, I do believe that I am a good strategist of war, a peaceful strategist of war. I do take my research very seriously, and like I said, I don't operate under the title as of a social scientist, but obviously I am. But I operate under a occupational engineer who also utilizes these sort of fields of science, behavioral sciences, and of course the justice system all together. And then also, I am touching briefly on the issue of sociology because, when you think about how the study of these institutions has, created certain mindsets in certain people, it's like you can be in one world, two different people can be in two different worlds. Why? Because of the education system. You know what I mean? So there's a lot that goes on and that I want to talk about, and address. I'm passionate about my work, and I think a lot of people may have been disappointed. You know what I mean? Because especially people who are associated with the church, people who have been severely brainwashed into wanting to kill people. I think people have been used to this sort of ritualistic behavior for quite a long time, and so this is one of the reasons why I'm talking about mind control. a mind control that has existed in the church for a very long time, that people probably wanted to excuse and sweep under the carpet and act as if. And the message I'm getting about my father's apparition, the political views, um, the issue being resolved, and I'm glad. I'm glad it is. I'm glad the issue's resolved. I just say that it has been extremely emotional for me because I think part of my spiritual journey is in the past through scripture, as well as maybe things that have not been recorded. You can only record so much. I think throughout all my incarnations, my issue has been to try to find good in man. You know what I mean? That was one of my questions in when I was growing up. You know what I mean? And I would look at people and try to understand their motives. Why would they do the things that they do? And it was important for me to understand these things because I understood the root of this, because the motivation behind what people do, I mean, this is their internal drive. What they feel their internal drive with is what determines whether they're evil or not. So yes, I have always been on a higher level, thinking level, from a long time ago. My spirituality has always been number one. And like I said, I will not compromise my spirituality or water it down. And this is what makes me have such a great relationship with the divine. Now, just because I have, strong powers spiritually does not mean that I have the desire to sit here and cause the destruction. I will protect myself, and I will protect the people that I care about. You know what I mean? But, I don't sit here and create problems. And see, this is one of the issues why I heard through some of these videos on YouTube that, people have been casting the evil eye to me. I do believe certain groups have gotten together and tried to create spells to hurt me, this kind of crazy stuff, okay? That is not necessary. Okay, you want to understand what kind of spells I usually do. The only spells I really focus on are, just to keep things afloat or to modify my mood. Okay, some people think I'm plotting against others. It's never occurred to me plot. Even the people, right, that were originally a part of this issue. Okay, like I said, I never sat here and tried to one up anybody or anything. I had forgot about a lot of these people. Okay, so the message I get is that people are interested in knowing, what makes me function. My function is what makes me function is my interest. This is what it is. If I feel as though I get an idea, I want to act out my idea, I want to experiment with my idea, I would say even this outfit right here, like I decided to wear this dress. I've never worn this dress before. Okay, I just know that I think I picked it up at a secondhand store, and yesterday I went I didn't buy anything at the secondhand store. I'm being a good girl, but what happened was I had to go to the bank and I had to go transfer some money. So as I was done with my bank transaction, I had to wait for the bus. And why did I have to wait for the bus? It's because Maria's a victim of human trafficking, right? And she lost her car because her traffickers were preventing her from working. So I decided to go to the Salvation Army, and I will tell you, it was a rejuvenating experience for me. And let me explain why. Because I was looking at some of these beautiful fabrics, some of these clothes items that were made. And, I was very attracted to certain prints and stuff. And I started to feel better. You know what I mean? Now, did it solve all my problems? No, it didn't. Okay. And I will tell you, I'm somebody who enjoys recycling clothes. You know what I mean? So what it did is it created, gave me, stimulate my creativity. And when you have your creativity is stimulated, then it gives you the will to hang on. It gives you the will to continue another day, even if it's just to create an art project. It is my love of those things. And so I highly resented this group of people who were trying to squash out who I was. You know what I mean? And I think it's important for them to understand, because this group of people who has created what you want to call eunuchs and other weird modifications, right? I do believe that this could be the generational group that works on the undercurrent and was written within these Bible texts, okay, or the tradition of it, okay, is that they resent For example, I had mentioned that King Solomon, lived his life fully. Like, he had wives, he had concubines. He wrote, or he is believed to have written, okay, which I do believe that he did. He wrote these Song of Songs, also known as the Song of Solomon, okay, which of course is erotic poetry, okay. Now, people would not have genitals if they were not meant to be stimulated, okay. And I know the church, highly resented, what do you call it? Sex, okay, sex for any other reason other than procreation. So, I'm somebody who understands that, people have to be in touch with their bodies. They have to be in touch with their bodies. People who have been denied the experience of being in touch with their body usually results in things like rape, child abuse, blah, 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 blah. Okay. It's like people should be honest and upfront about it. But see, there's a lot of people who are closely related to these church type things where the issue is it's not so much about sexuality as it is about creating human life. Okay, like for example, this is where we have this issue of clones being created. Specifically, I'm going to say focus on the white race because I think a lot of people in this case there's proof that they were trying to either increase their stock, okay, but they're increasing a stock for what reason? I mean, like, I don't feel as though these people had any real vision of any real vision, okay. The message I get is that I am somebody who is expected to be successful in my life, okay? But the thing is that what it was is that a lot of people were assuming that I was associated with this group of people, and really they had no right to associate themselves with me. What else do I want to say? The traffickers do know that what they've done is wrong, and that I have been abused, and that I have a right to want something for myself. I think it's been agreed upon that these people have taken things from me, specifically Elon Musk. Either he was the main perpetrator who was doing it on behalf of people or whatever. I do believe that, whatever people have believed about him, as far as him being an intelligent person or whatever, I do believe that he was a severely brainwashed person. Okay. And I see that. Okay. My company is my company. And the message I'm getting right now is I'm thinking about the third quarter newsletter. Oh, people do agree with my position of cloning that uh, and that my separation from Elon only makes my career better. Okay, like I said, it kind of see. I don't believe that Elon and the people that he was associated with understood that you don't touch things that don't belong to you. And the reason why is because some of these people, I look at them as being treated like circus animals. Seriously, like people who really don't have. Okay, like I personally think that a lot of these people are their communications are scripted. Okay, like for example, that is one of the signs of identifying a victim of human trafficking. Now, I had talked to quite a few uh, celebrities. Okay, now some of these celebrities I know that were actually them, and some of these people I question whether they are or not. Okay, now and the reason why is because I'm not going to sit here and like I cannot do that to everybody. Okay, but I find it very strange that when they communicate with people, that they refer to them as dear. Every single last person, hello dear, blah 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 dear. It gets very creepy. You know what I mean? And it's like it seems fake, and it try to come off as enduring, but it's not. Okay, it's not. But it sounds like it's scripted. Like, because a lot of men. Okay, I can understand women using that, and there's nothing wrong with men using that expression. I'm just saying is we know what is more useful, or what when it comes to our vocabulary, who uses certain words more than others. Okay, so they even have like men saying this kind of stuff, and it's like, okay, this is a repeated pattern. Okay, either it's the same person who is operating this ring, or it is all these celebrities individually who have been brainwashed by the same handler. Okay, whatever the case is, I understand that they are victims of human trafficking, especially when they, start talking about things relating to money. I know I had communicated with quite a few of them who wanted me to invest in, I don't even remember the name of it, okay? But it was basically investing as if you could invest $1,000 and it's just going to flip around and become $2,000, okay? I understand that that's not possible. Okay, so it's like I understand that a lot of these people do very strange things. I do also know that I believe Elon Musk and his associates were trying to stifle my success by trying to place stipulations on me as if they had any right to do so. Okay, like, I couldn't wear makeup, I can't wear nice clothes. Now I don't know exactly what his wives, his girlfriends, or whatever, what they, I never really paid that much attention to them. Okay, really. Okay, but I do understand this is a religious thing. Okay, and I do understand that this was some sort of set up to where he was supposed to appear as if he was like some like guy who had like everything, like, he was like supposed to be handsome, had like women, like, and very beautiful women. I thought the women that he was associated were very beautiful, but I do believe that a lot of the things that his religion, okay, tries to represent are trying to emulate me. And the reason why I say this is because I know King Solomon was a polygamist, and I understand that this sounds like a Mormon type leaning, and I understand that even though these people claim to hate me, I have more importance to these people than they admit, they want to admit. As a matter of fact, they built a lot of their ideas and models off of me. When I say models, I'm talking about their ideas and the things that get promoted out in the public. And this includes Elon, the topics that he sits here and brings up. Okay, so Elon, okay, has been used to people abusing him because, and this is what he knows, okay? So all of his interactions, this is one of the reasons why I was saying, all of his interactions could be abusive. Elon might be an abuser by default because that's all he knows. So if he meets somebody new, he's going to abuse them. That's what he knows, and that's a part of his survival, whether he likes it or not. So I understand. I'm glad that I'm away from Elon Musk, okay? And it's sad, and I hope that his soul is at rest. Why? Because I do know that he had a conscience, okay? And this is my biggest issue. If people don't have a conscience, they are capable of doing anything. I'm glad that he was disgusted enough of himself that he did something about it, okay? The other message I'm getting is that it's good news. The economy is going up. I know that this particular group, they were trying to prevent me from buying and stuff. And I'll admit, I will go buy stuff, and I think it's recommended to buy stuff at times. Okay, now I was just getting money after being off from work for a very long time. Okay, and so like I had to replace things that I had, like I needed to replace like cleansers for my house. I had to replace soap, just toilet paper, and it's the same cycle over and over and over again. This is one of the reasons why, these groups prevent you from building, because it's, you work a job for about a year and a half and they're like, oh my gosh, she sits there and she buys stuff. I gotta make not let that happen. So they'll take you out of work and they'll put you. This is all their little game. Okay, it's not like you're not looking for work. It's just that they don't want you to do that, and that right there is telling you that you're a victim of human trafficking. I have the right to work whenever I want to. And to put things in place to prevent a person from working is blacklisting. And it's also a form of employment manipulation. I do understand that Elon Musk, as well as the people he was associated with, recognized those violations. Okay, he recognized them, he knew what he was, and the message I'm getting right now is that many clones are choosing heaven. It's the best choice, and it's natural, and that my political views are superb. Okay, he knew what he was. Okay, he knew he was an operator of human trafficking. Okay, he knew he was fully involved in it. Okay, and it's sad. Okay, and this is what I was talking about, all these victims of human trafficking in this country. Okay, so this thing has crept into workplaces and yada 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 yada. So this is one of the things I'm talking about. And I know people were mocking me. They wanted to belittle me. They wanted to be angry with me. I remember, people rolling their eyes, laughing and thinking that I wasn't intelligent. Yes, I am more intelligent than most people as well. I would say, well, okay, probably everyone. Okay, and then also the fact that I have proven the fact that the education system is a joke. It's a joke, okay, as well as what we've been trained on in the workplace, okay, because I understand that there has been some sort of manipulation, and there has been an agenda for a very long time, okay. Okay, so the other message I got is that a lot of people want to thank me for bringing this awareness about the TI issue as well as the human trafficking issue, as I do believe they are one and the same, okay. I was right all along. So people do acknowledge me as being the one who cracked the code, deep down code too, because like I said, this is kind of biblical. You know what I mean? I don't know. It kind of seems as though Elon and I had a past life at some time together. Okay, the reason why is because this, like I said, the setups. How do you, have all these quote unquote Bible prophecies come about, unless of course they're making the use of clones. And so it's the same thing. They set this up, and then we have resets, and then we have all this other stuff. So yes, I get it. Like, this is one of the reasons why I kept thinking this is deeper than that, and it is. Okay, it's the lying of the church, the people, the very fact that people, once again, just like in the Bible, people have, they are doing all kinds of horrible things. Okay, and they're not able to recognize it. And the reason why is because there is serious evil on the earth, and it's convinced a lot of people, and that's exactly what the Bible talks about. Being broad and spacious, that there is a road that leads to destruction, but straight and narrow. Meaning, very few people are going to actually get it. And the reason why is because small people like me, we don't have that influence. The bigger people are the ones with the influence. They're the ones who can get on stage, like Elon Musk, and mirror what is actually true and present it like it's their own. Okay, so yeah, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of the underground operation that full functions in everyone's face, and then everyone acts like they didn't know. Yeah, what I'm talking about is the underground. It's not crime syndicate. Is something that Elon Musk was very much tied to, and the poor guy. Like I said, my heart goes out to him, seriously. And the reason why is because, like I said, I read people's hearts. I read their hearts. I read their motivations. You know what I mean? And this is what determines whether or not they're good people. And every time I talk about something deep, I keep getting that message about wearing my ankh. Yes, an ankh is for protection. What is it? Okay, me taking my father out, meaning my father's apparition is being seen. People agree with my political views. Yes, I know that this trafficking ring, wanted to monitor what I buy and everything like that. Like I said, I buy things every once in a while. Okay, and it's actually good to do that for the economy. Okay, people need to have money. If you didn't want to buy anything, then it would be a big problem. Okay, for everybody. Okay, businesses have to make money. It's how we get moving. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is like, I crack the Bible codes, and all the cult religions know I'm right. I mentioned that before. Okay, like, I've been studying the Bible since I was a kid. Okay, and this is, I believe, Elon believed that he knew that he was working for the devil. He knew he was working for the devil. Okay? He was working for the devil. That is very, very heartbreaking. Okay? But see, like I said, he had a conscience. He had a conscience. That's what it is. That's the difference. Okay? And so this is why I say, peace to Elon. Okay? Anyway, I am the owner of Gordon's Occupational Engineering, okay? And people do have recognized for a very long time that I am revolutionary. And yes, I do hold the truth. I believe in, I understand people have been used to the devil system for a very long time, and I'm saying this is exactly what has caused all of my problems. Okay, deep down problems. I mean, deep down, they want to get deep down into your psyche. Okay, every crack and crevice into your brain. Okay, these people are crazy, and this is one of the reasons why I always believed that the transhumanist agenda was absolutely sickening. You know what I mean? And so I understood there was a connection between the Neuralink and stuff like that. And, I did not want to have to face it, but I'm a realist. And the reason why I'm a realist is because I'm all I have. I don't have time or the, privilege to sit here and be like in La La Land, okay, especially when my life is on the line. Elon, unfortunately, was nothing more, and I hate to say it, but he was a spy. He was a dual affiliation, okay? That's all I'm going to say about it, okay? And that's what I'm getting. And yes, it's sad. Very sad. You know what I mean? And see, I get angry with myself because, I have the capacity to love. Like, I do. And I wasn't like love Elon, but I felt, affection for Elon. I wanted him to be happy. I wanted him to be safe. I wanted him to be away from his traffickers. I wanted him to have a future. I was hoping he would make it to the finish line. You know what I mean? But I can't sit here and be responsible for everybody. That is not my responsibility to, help other people. Okay. And if who I decide to help is what I choose to do. But see, he didn't understand that. You know what I mean? And this is what the poor guy, okay, He was so ignorant. Did he honestly think that that kind of marriage would hold up? Poor guy. Oh my god. Anyway, this is one of the things I want to talk about, or I'm talking about in human targets. Okay, I understand that certain industries are like, making human trafficking training, mandatory. I believe the hotel and the motel industry, mainly because a lot of sex traffickers get placed in these sort of environments. Okay, and so if you're working your hotel or motel personnel, you see something strange going on, and then this could, get you alert as to what's going on. You can help somebody. Okay, if people can recognize those signs. So human targets, it might. I have not seen what do they show people human trafficking training, or do they just talk about it? Because I know, like for example, the people in charge, whoever's creating the sexual harassment training, they've obviously talked about it. It's mandatory. We're supposed to take it. But guess what? This was a big blow up, and it was just bursting with nothing but sexual harassment. So, are people getting educated correctly? This is obviously, the answer is no, they are not. So, I would say that my video, human trafficking or human targets, okay, is a great thing to show your employees. Right now, I do not know if, how that's all going. I do believe that there has been some sort of manipulation of my work, meaning like, because I did put it in the Swan Song Manifesto. They could very well be, oh yeah, I know, they were telling people not to buy from me, not to support me, blah 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 blah. I know that there was a lot of that. I mentioned this to Donald Trump and everything else. So yes, I am going to be offering the human targets on my website. Okay, and I understand that it's not always an easy thing to do, especially since I do not have it where it's arranged where I can get, Ko-fi or Patreon can no longer be trusted. Hopefully, and how I will do this, I don't know. It's probably you have to purchase it, and then I will send you the video link or something along those lines. Okay, because I definitely want people to buy it because number one, it's I would say it's good education and it's detailed information. Also, okay, I need funds to help expedite my transfer to Lancaster, California. And that's what it's all really about. Okay, so the message I'm getting right now. Oh, okay. My son did get in a little bit of an accident. He goes to work, and we make use of our bike. He got in a little bit of an accident, so his wrist is busted right now. And I was very concerned about it because I don't trust people. I do not trust people. The message I'm getting right now is that I no marriage. I will remain single for the rest of my life. That people think that I've made better decisions. Okay, I made these decisions based on my situation. Okay, now I think people wanted to vilify me about not getting married because they just wanted to think that I was trying to create problems or I was just trying to go upstream or whatever. No, I realized that everybody I've ever come in contact with was crooked. Okay, and I knew I was not about to get in bed with one of them. Okay, and so that pretty much is what it is. Okay, and yeah, the underground crime syndicate that has been sending me people all my life is something I really am not interested in doing. The message I'm getting right now is I should indulge in getting my nails done. I'm not going to do that. I have decided, okay, I do need a pedicure, okay, and I cannot, bend down and actually, and it's important, okay. I want to tell you guys right now the importance of a pedicure because, like, if you let your feet get dry, those cracks can form in the bottom of your feet, okay. And what happens when you get in and out of the shower is the moisture can build up in those cracks and crevices of your feet, and you can get an infection. That's how things like athlete's foot and stuff like develop, okay. So yes, foot care is important, okay. And I understand that, as somebody who's trying to bend down and trying to, like, take care of my feet, that's not always something that's easy for me to do. So there's times where I will go into a professional and let them go ahead and give me a pedicure. And then what I will do is, in between those months, I will take care of it myself. Okay. And then if I feel as though it's gotten to the point where I need to go back in, because some people get pedicures like almost every week or whatever, I would say no. This is usually my cycle. I will go, like, I know this is sandal season. This year I did it myself. Okay. And then, but what I usually do is, like, every change of season, I will go in and get a pedicure, and then I will maintain it myself in between that time. because I figure, okay, it's going to start getting a little bit out of hand, and I can maintain it a little bit. And like I said, my feet get very dry. Yes, I do use things like oils and stuff like on my feet. So it's like I get tired of people thinking, I don't think they're people. Okay, I know that. I deal with that, but that's what it is. Okay, and obviously people here in Bakersfield, they go get their nails done. There's nail places almost in every corner, right? It's part of the enjoyment of life. You can either partake of those sort of things or you don't. Okay, but I mean, the fact that people are trying to tell me how to enjoy my life. You know what I mean? I felt as though this group behind that was targeting me, they were just straight up demonic. Like, you just wanted to control somebody. And I understood that this was human trafficking. So anyway, back to my issue. I'm hoping to launch my website in a few days, and I do believe that I mentioned this. Donald Trump, as well as the churches. So I believe that this played a big role into what happened with Elon. Okay, Elon was doing a lot of issues, being two-faced or whatever, and he couldn't help it himself. I get it. Okay, I get it. Okay, he was like a Judas slash Peter in this case. Okay, whatever the case is, the message I'm getting about it is everyone knows that I only have Houston as my family, and that I wasn't interested in marrying, and that he was responsible for all his offspring. Okay, yeah. This is how crooked this group was. Okay, they wanted to do a lot of things to destroy me. Okay, so they probably knew that I would be interested in Elon. Who's to say? Okay, and they may have deliberately made Elon have all those children, right? And then hope that I would marry him so that I would be stuck in a life that I didn't want. See, because this is the kind of stuff that these people do, because they're very twisted. Very twisted. Okay, and see, they use people like that. That's emotional abuse for everybody involved. Okay, if I was to sit here and be in a relationship with Elon Musk, being responsible for his children that I didn't even create, okay, and then they're going to sit here and want to dictate, and then all this other stuff, that right there is abuse. Okay, so I understood, this group, and aside from that, no, I'm not married to Elon Musk. I don't even know if the women that he had children with are actually his wives. Okay, maybe his first wife might have been legally married to him, meaning like they actually went and got an actual marriage license. Okay, I don't. The very fact that whatever we know this very 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 crooked people, very crooked people. Yes. Okay. Is there something else I want to say before I wrap all this up? Something about astral projection. Yes, I have not mastered astral projection. I really don't put a lot of time into it. I do listen to music sometimes, but I'm just saying is what a part of the religious bullying is like they did not want me to have access to my gifts and stuff like that. I just find this whole thing very very weird. But anyway. I'm glad the economy is up, and I think it's good that we buy. Okay, my biggest thing is I go to the dollar stores, or I go to the dollar stores, thrift stores, and get it out of my system right now. I feel as though I have enough stuff, okay? But, uh, if I do go out and like run an errand and I feel like I need to get something, because it's nice to get something new every once in a while. I do. I'll go to the Dollar Tree. I'm like, because I don't have the kind of money to sit here and spend like, all that. But I get happy with buying like a little pencil holder or a pencil case or maybe a keychain. Yeah, that kind of stuff, it brightens your day. You know what I mean? It's insane to not want to encourage buying. We need buying. If people don't buy, our economy is going to go down. Okay, I think that's it. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. As soon as I launch my website and my new video channel, I will definitely let you know. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.